Civilians flee after a magnitude 6.5 earthquake struck areas across Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Authorities report at least 13 people have died. More details on this later in the news. Good evening. I am Ricky Mathay.
And I am Nina Richielago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. urges AFP to be vigilant amid territorial threats. Department of Trade and Industry issues price freeze in oil spill-affected areas. Former Senate President pushes charter change. United States claims China's mediation on Ukraine and Russia is not impartial. And Blinks are excited for Blackpink's concert at the Philippine Arena. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. renews his vow for continued support in the modernization of the armed forces of the Philippines amid the challenges and threats to the country's territory. Paulo Ramos has the story.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led today the commemoration of the 126th anniversary of the Philippine Army. In his message, the President acknowledges the bravery and heroism of Filipino soldiers who offered their lives to defend the country's security.
The entire nation is grateful for the many sacrifices our ground troops have made to ensure our internal security. Some of us have lost friends and families in the fight for peace. But we will continue to ensure that their sacrifices will not have been in vain.
The Commander-in-Chief vows to continue supporting the modernization of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, amidst the threats in the country's territory. Marcos urges the uniformed personnel to strengthen cooperation with foreign counterparts to further reinforce their knowledge and capabilities.
We remain committed to modernizing the armed forces so no threat will be impossible to handle. We will continue to invest not only in modern equipment and material, but also in your training, so you can keep abreast of concepts, doctrines, strategies that we now need in the modern battlefield.
He also assures that the personal welfare of soldiers will be attended to, including providing housing programs for the troops. Marcos mentioned a lot in Cavite, where the government plans to build 500 housing units, each for police and military personnel. During the ceremony, President Marcos recognized outstanding soldiers and individuals who performed with excellence in their duties. Paulo Ramos for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. refuses to detail the 4 new sites for the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, between the Philippines and the United States. Instead, the president says defense officials of both countries will be the ones to release the information. Eden Santos reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says the defense officials of the Philippines and the United States will make the formal announcement of the 4 new sites for the implementation of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreements, or EDCA. The president told reporters that he did not want to preempt whatever plans the officials of the 2 countries have for the implementation of the agreement. The Philippines and the United States are set to conduct its largest joint military exercise in April.
We'll make a formal announcement, but yes, they have been identified, and we can already. Before I announce it, we will formalize it with our partners, the United States, so that sabay-sabay naman ang hindi natin i-preempt yung kanilang pinaplano. So there are 4 extra sites
scattered around the Philippines. There are some in the north, there are some around Palawan, there are some further south. So, iba-iba talaga.
But the president confirms that he already discussed with local government units supposed to have the EDCA sites in their localities and explained to them the importance of the project.
Yes, we explained to them why it was important that we have that and why it will actually be good for their province. Mukha namang naintindihan nila because most of the those who had interposed some objections are really right now naintindihan naman nila, and they have come around to support the idea of an EDCA site in their province.
Marcos had earlier approved giving access to U.S. troops in the 4 additional military camps, aside from the 5 originally identified under EDCA. Eden Santos for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has designated the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, as the lead agency in the oil spill cleanup efforts in Oriental Mindoro. The president made the decision as he stressed that there is no need to create a special task force on the matter. Celine Dorado reports.
The Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, is the designated lead agency in the oil spill cleanup efforts in Oriental Mindoro. The president made the clarification as he rejected proposals to create a special task force to do the job. Marcos says aside from its assets, the PCG is also responsible in coordinating all help given by countries abroad.
The task force for the oil spill is the Coast Guard. Admiral Abu heads it. So there's no need. You see, there's no need to reorganize something for everything. The idea is to have the assets in place so that pag may mangyaring ganyan, may response na tayo. We do not have to organize a special group, a special committee, a special task force. They're ready already as it is. So as it stands, nakahati ang duties. Of course, the Coast Guard is heading the effort because they have the assets, etc. And they also are the ones coordinating with the foreign aid that has been coming. Yung mga ROV, yung mga boom, yung mga special equipment na dinala ng Japan, pinapadala ng US, pinadala yung mga expert na pinadala sa atin, sila nagko-coordinate ng lahat.
The president also assures that efforts of various government agencies to assist affected communities will continue in coordination with local government units.
Ngayon, on the ground, ang DNR, ina-assess nila kung ano yung damage, kung ano yung kailangan linisin, ano yung mga area na kailangan bantayan. That's what DNR's role is. The SWD comes in now to dahil yung mga mangingisda hindi makapangisda ngayon dahil hindi maganda yung isda dahil nakalubog sila sa langis. So what we instituted the Cash for Work program. Naglilinis sila and we pay them for that. That's a continuing effort. Of course, all of this are in coordination with the LGU, specifically in Miss Or, si Go Bons Delor, and he has been taking care of his constituency in terms of providing assistance to what they need. So we are even providing food packs. We are providing not only cash for work, pero meron pa rin tayo mga pantulong para nga doon sa mga mangingisda na hindi makapangisda ngayon. So that's how generally the structure works, and that is the assignment of tasks between the different agencies.
Celine Dorado for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Department of Justice has directed the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, and the Maritime Industry Authority, or Marina, to submit their documents on the oil spill in Oriental Mindoro. Elijah Villanueva has the details.
The Department of Justice has summoned all the documents at hand by the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, and the Maritime Industry Authority, or Marina, regarding the oil spill in Oriental Mindoro. Justice Secretary Crispin Remulla says they are expecting the PCG and Marina to bring the documents in another meeting of the Interagency Task Force on Thursday, March 23. Remulla says summoning the documents is part of the case build-up against the owner of the sunken MT Princess Empress and other individuals responsible for the mishap. The Justice Department had earlier said that PCG and Marina will also be investigated since the oil tanker was able to sail without the necessary permits and documents. Remulla and other officials of the task force made an aerial inspection on the area to identify the extent and the damages brought by the oil spill in Oriental Mindoro and adjacent areas. The official says the government will lead the cleanup efforts and will not let the ship owners to take charge. Remulla is worried that the oil spill could reach Verde Island in Batangas, which will endanger the important area for marine biodiversity in the world. Elijah Villanueva for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The Regional Office of the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, in Region 4B, or Mimaropa, has issued a price freeze bulletin in areas affected by the oil spill from the sunken oil tanker MT Princess Empress. The decision was made following the passage of Resolution Number 6290-2023 by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan declaring a state of calamity in the municipalities of Nauhan, Pinamalayan, Gloria, Bansud, Bongabong, Rojas, Mansalay, and Bulalakaw in Oriental Mindoro. According to Section 6 of Republic Act 7581, or the Price Act, prices of basic necessities under the DTI will automatically be frozen from March 6 and will last for 60 days or 2 months. The necessities included in the law are canned fish and marine products, processed milk, coffee, soap, candles, bread, salt, noodles, and bottled water. Those who will violate the price freeze will be meted with 1 to 10 years of imprisonment and will pay a penalty of 5,000 up to 1 million pesos.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. gave an ultimatum to Negros Oriental Congressman Arnie Teves to come back and face the allegations thrown against him. Randy Bernardino has the report.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has issued an ultimatum to Negros Oriental Congressman Arnie Teves to return to the country and face the allegations against him. Teves was pointed by arrested suspects as the mastermind in the assassination of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Marcos told the media that he is irritated with the congressman's continued hiding in the United States. Teves went on a personal vacation in the U.S. 4 days before the slaying of Degamo and 8 others. He refuses to come back because of the alleged threat to his security.
Mayaman ka naman, may private jet ka naman eh. Maglanding ka kung saan mo gusto, papaligir sa isang army, sa Air Force Base. O maglanding sa Basa. Papaligiran natin ng sundalo, wala makalapit na 1 kilometro. So that will guarantee his security. So we have made all of these offers, pero siyempre hindi pa siya nagde-decide.
With his continued stay abroad, Marcos says Teves loses all chances to clean his name on the Degamo killing.
The only advice I can give to Kong Arnie is that habang tumatagal ito, mas nagiging mahirap ang sitwasyon mo. So mas maaga kang makauwi, mas marami pang option ang mangyayari. Pero pagka masyado nang late, wala na, mapipilitan ng gobyerno. We will have to move without any discussions with him.
The president also denies Teves' allegations that Malacanang was behind linking him in the Degamo slaying, as well as the Isabong connection in the killing of the governor.
Punot dulo nito ay Isabong? Hindi, ang punot dulo nito ay pagkapaslang kay Governor Degamo. Nagka-problema na kami sa Isabong noon, but that's not what this is about. Because nung nagkakaroon ng Isabong doon, hindi naman natin ginawa itong reorganization, hindi natin linipat yung mga pulis, hindi natin pinasok ang military dahil sa Isabong. This is about the killing of Governor Digamo. Pure and simple.
Randy Bernardino for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The House of Representatives assures that Negros Oriental Congressman Arnie Teves will get fair treatment. The chamber is set to deliberate on the House Ethics Committee report regarding his continued absence without official leave. More details from Prince Limonero.
The House of Representatives will give due process to embattled Negros Oriental Representative Arnie Teves. House Speaker Martin Romualdez assures that Teves will be given fair treatment as the House plenary is set to deliberate on the House Ethics Committee report on the case of Negros Solent. Ethics Committee Chairman Congress Filemon Espares says the basis for any sanctions against Teves is absence without official leave or AWOL. Based on House rules, a member charged before the Ethics Committee could be meted with expulsion, suspension, reprimand, or acquittal. Meanwhile, Teves seeks the help of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. because of the latest allegations against him. The lawmaker says his opponent are using the death of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Digamo as political mileage against him. Teves insists that, like Digamo, his family are also victims, accusing some government officials of using the names of President Marcos. Teves also offers his apology to Speaker Romualdez as he was not able to comply with the House leader's directive to return to the country despite assurance on his security. Prince Limonero for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
5 former soldiers who are suspects in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Digamo have surrendered to the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP. The 5 were turned over to the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, for further investigation. There are 10 suspects in the Digamo killing, 9 of which are soldiers and have direct involvement in the assassination. Around 5 to 6 suspects are being hunted down by authorities. The Task Force Digamo hopes to file the necessary charges against the suspects, including the mastermind. The wife of Governor Digamo, Pamplona Mayor Janice Digamo, is thankful for the dedication of the government to resolve the killing of her husband. Aside from the suspects' testimonies, the Task Force Digamo clarifies that they also have other evidence to pin the mastermind.
A Senate committee has invited Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile to shed light on the proposals to amend the 1987 Constitution. Mian Corvera tells us more.
Chief Presidential Legal Counsel and former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile emphasizes the need to amend the 1987 Constitution to prevent bullying and oppression against Filipinos. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s Chief Legal Counsel stressed his position during the hearing called by the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of Codes, chaired by Senator Robin Hood Padilla. Enrile says it is timely to remove the restrictions in the economic provisions of the Constitution, citing the lack of funding and capacity of the country to develop its economy.
The economic provisions are antiquated. We do not have the capital to develop the economy of this country to improve the life of a great majority of our people. We can develop this country only if we relax the restrictive provisions, economic provisions of the Constitution.
Enrile is pushing for the removal of the provisions banning nuclear weapons in the country.
A small country can protect itself against the superpowers if they have nuclear weapons. We should remove that restriction and make the country flexible. If we can afford it, we should also have nuclear weapons so that our people will not be trampled upon, let alone made a tuta or alipin of other countries. We must be sure that we make our people equal.
The Philippines is among the countries who signed the United Nations resolution banning the use of nuclear weapons and any nuclear weapon activity. But Enrile says aside from defense, nuclear power can also be used as an alternative source of energy to strengthen the economy.
Oil and natural gas are finite things. The supply is dwindling, and those that were lucky enough to have these raw materials abundantly in their country will make it very difficult to be available to those of us who do not have it.
The Chief Legal Counsel of the administration also favors the proposal to amend the Constitution through Constituent Assembly or CONAS and piecemeal legislation. He stressed that it is not wise to use billions of funds to amend the Charter through a constitutional convention as pushed by the congressmen. Enrile clarifies that his position on charter change is based on his opinion and study and not reflective of the official position of the administration. He also says that he sought the permission from President Marcos to appear before the Senate hearing as a resource person on the matter, and he approved. Padilla, on the other hand, agrees with Enrile's suggestion to remove the law's restrictions on nuclear weapons and nuclear energy. But the matter is not included in the Senate proposal for Chacha.
Maganda naman yung punto niya eh. Oo, kasi noong 1987, hindi pa naman nagpapapalipad ng nuclear missile itong, wala pa naman nuclear warhead, ano? Pero panay ang palipad ng North Korea. Medyo wild ang nangyayari din, ano? At siyempre, yung kanya naman, kumbaga, paano ba? Halimbawa, nagkaroon na nga naman ng nuclear weapon ang mga kapitbahay natin, tapos tayo wala, parang nakakalungkot nga naman. Ano? Kasi nandun na tayo sa nuclear age. Huwag natin i-deny yun. Talagang nandito tayo sa panahon na yun. At yan naman dadaan pa naman yan sa masusing pag-aaral ng Kongreso.
Despite the Senate's leadership intervention, Padilla will invite the group of Cagayan de Oro Congressman Rufus Rodriguez to hear their position on their proposal for CONCOL. In his review of the Senate rules, Padilla says it is not prohibited to invite a co-equal legislator from the House of Representatives as resource person on matters discussed in the chamber. Mean Corvera for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Coming up, earthquake in Pakistan and Afghanistan kills at least 13 people. Japanese Prime Minister Kishida expresses a strong indignation while visiting Ukraine. And NATO chief urges China to listen to Ukraine's peace plan with Russia. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break.
Mga ka-netizens, ako po si Tito Soto sa programang Reality Check. For more live and updates, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Net25 TV.
Susunod sa Counterpoint, alamin ang mga proyektong sinusulong sa Clark mula kay Chairman Ed Pamintuan.
Palagay ko, andyan yung danger with or without these two superpowers surrogating to be, fighting for the interest of Asia. Sila yung nagbabanggaan eh. Sabi ko, huwag tayong magkipagbanggaan sa kanila.
Sa Counterpoint, tuwing Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net25.
Magkaibigan kami niyan. Akala niya marami akong girlfriends, hindi naman totoo.
Medyo mas pinaka-brutal sa mga hazing cases po namin dahil may intent po na itago.
Dito sa hazing, wala namang magsasabing intensyon patayin Kung hindi, talaga sumobra yung kabubugbog, namatay.
Bakit pa kababa ng conviction rate? Ang nag-recruit ba kasama sa pwedeng makasuhan? Mag-reality check tayo.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo. Hello, pag together, let's stand together. Sunnet 25.
This portion is brought to you by 318 Automart, Arlex Trading and Construction Supplies.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. An earthquake in Pakistan and Afghanistan has killed at least 13 people. The U.S. Geological Survey says the magnitude 6.5 quake was centered near Durham in northeastern Afghanistan. The quake struck around 9:30 p.m. Kabul time on Tuesday and lasted more than 30 seconds. Officials in the Pakistan capital say 9 people had been killed in the quake, including 2 women and 2 children. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif ordered the National Disaster Management Authority to be ready to deal with any emergency. In Afghanistan, officials reported 3 dead and 44 injured. Government spokesperson Zabidullah Mujahid says health centers across the country had been put on high alert. Last June, more than 1,000 people were killed and tens of thousands made homeless after a 5.9 magnitude quake struck the impoverished province of Paktika.
California will battle heavy floods as the 12th atmospheric river this season is forecasted to hit the state. The National Weather Service says as much as 8 centimeters of rain was forecasted for areas in Southern California as well as in lower mountain regions. A series of storms have battered a state with snow, floods, landslides, and power outages since December. The extreme flooding this season had caused some parts of California to lift restrictions on water use. The rainfall has helped to ease the state's historic drought. Experts have cautioned that dry conditions could return next year. Several factors contribute to flooding, but a warming atmosphere due to climate change can make extreme rainfall more likely.
Seoul's military claims Pyongyang fired multiple cruise missiles into the East Sea, also called the Sea of Japan. Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff say South Korea and U.S. intelligence authorities are analyzing detailed specifications of Pyongyang's newest launch. North Korean President Kim Jong-un previously instructed his military to intensify nuclear drills to prepare for real war. Pyongyang views the current U.S. and South Korea's joint drills as rehearsals for an invasion.
Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida vented strong indignation against Russian aggression in Bucha. Kishida made the statement when he visited Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He is also the last group of 7 leaders to visit Ukraine. Sources say Kishida has come under increasing pressure to make the trip as Japan hosts the G7 summit this May. Kishida's trip also coincided with a visit by Chinese President Xi Jinping to Moscow for talks with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. In a speech with Zelensky, Kishida vowed Japan will continue to support Ukraine until peace is achieved.
ロシアによるウクライナ侵略は国際秩序の根幹を揺るがす暴挙です。本日キーウおよびブチャを訪問し、ロシアによる侵略の惨劇を直接目の当たりにし、このことを改めて強く感じています。
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reportedly accused Moscow of massacring civilians in Bucha. Kremlin denies the allegation, saying Kyiv's photos of videos of Bucha were a staged performance.
NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg urges Beijing to take into account Ukraine's conditions for peace with Russia. This as China's President Xi Jinping meets Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Moscow.
It is for Ukraine to decide what are acceptable conditions for any peaceful solution. And China therefore needs to start to understand Ukraine's perspective and to engage with President Zelensky directly if it's serious, if it wants to be serious about peace. I will welcome any initiative, any plan that can lead to a just and sustainable peace. China's peace proposal includes some positive aspects and elements which I support. For instance, the importance of nuclear safety, of protection of civilians, and not least underlying the importance of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence.
Stoltenberg, however, warns any ceasefire that does not respect Ukraine's sovereignty will only be a way to freeze the war. He says it is only to ensure that Russia can reconstitute, regroup, and reattack. China has sought to portray itself as a neutral party in the Ukraine conflict. Washington, however, says Beijing's moves could still be a stalling tactic to help Moscow. Stoltenberg says their message has been sent that China should not provide lethal aid to Russia.
Speaking during a summit with Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping says he wants to strengthen coordination and cooperation with Russia. Xi says stronger coordination will promote new and greater development of practical cooperation between the two countries. Meanwhile, after the talks, Putin says Russian-Chinese relations are at the highest level of development in history. He says the two programmatic joint statements signed by Russia and China fully reflect the special nature of the two countries' relations.
During a briefing in Washington, State Department spokesperson Vedant Patel says the U.S. is paying close attention to China's interaction with Russia amid Moscow's war against Ukraine. Patel says any move by China to provide lethal aid to Russia would cause serious problems.
Any steps being taken by China to provide lethal aid to Russia would be deeply problematic and of great concern to the United States. It's something that we're paying very close attention to and will take appropriate action as needed should a certain line be crossed.
The United States does not see China as capable of being an impartial mediator between Moscow and Kyiv over the war in Ukraine.
I don't think you can reasonably look at China as impartial in any way. They haven't condemned this this invasion. They haven't stopped buying Russian oil and Russian energy. President Xi saw fit to fly all the way to Moscow. Hasn't talked once to President Zelensky, hasn't visited Ukraine.
White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says if Beijing wants to play a constructive role in the conflict, China should press Russia to pull its troops out of Ukraine. Kirby also points out China has not criticized the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, China asserts they did not create the crisis in Ukraine. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin also insists China did not provide weapons to any party in the conflict.
中方在乌克兰问题上没有私心，没有袖手旁观，更没有拱火浇油、趁机谋利。中方所做的归结为一句话，就是劝和促谈。美方声称中方的立场难言公正。 难道向战场源源不断输送武器才是公正吗？难道让冲突不断升级才是公正吗？难道让危机外溢影响扩展到全球才是公正吗？
Up next, United Kingdom bans TikTok on government devices. Peru sacks police chief implicated in graft probe. And schools in Los Angeles shut down as workers stage mass walkouts. Do stay tuned. Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders, Quezon City Motor Vehicle Inspection Center.
Ex-Prime Minister Boris Johnson faces UK Parliament's inquisition for the COVID Partygate. Parliament's Committee of Privileges is investigating whether Johnson had intentionally or carelessly misled the government in a series of statements about the rule-breaking parties. Last year, Johnson was interrogated in a Parliament committee hearing while facing a wave of ministerial resignations. Voters were angry about the partying at Downing Street in breach of the COVID lockdown rules. However, if the committee decides that Johnson lied to Parliament about the parties, it could recommend his suspension from the House of Commons. The full House needs to agree to a suspension of more than 10 sitting days. The decision could trigger a special election for his London Northwest seat if enough voters demand one.
The UK is banning the use of TikTok on government devices. The ban comes after Cabinet Office ministers ordered a security review. From London, United Kingdom, our correspondent Neil Lance-Valdos has the details.
The UK announced a security ban on the Chinese-owned video app TikTok on government devices, in line with action by the European Union and the United States. It was told that this will be done with immediate effect, according to Cabinet Office Minister Oliver Dowden.
Given the particular risk around government devices which may contain sensitive information, it is both prudent and proportionate to restrict the use of certain apps, particularly when it comes to apps where a large amount of data can be stored and accessed.
Western authorities have been taking an increasingly firm approach to the app, citing fears that user data could be used or abused by Chinese officials. Dowden said that experts had conducted a risk assessment of third-party apps in relation to sensitive government data.
That review has now concluded, and it is clear that there could be a risk around how sensitive government data is accessed and used by certain platforms. As many colleagues will know, social media apps collect and store huge amounts of user data, including contacts, user content, and geolocation data. On government devices, that data can be sensitive. And so today,
the ban will apply to government corporate devices used by ministers and ministries, but not apply to personal devices or the wider public. Dowden emphasized that this is a proportionate move that urges users to exercise caution before downloading apps. Reporting here from London, United Kingdom, I am Neil Lance-Valdos from Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Peru's government sacks the South American country's top police chief. He is being investigated over links to an alleged corruption network. Authorities believe it was headed by ousted President Pedro Castillo. A decree signed by President Dina Boluarte says Raul Alfaro's employment had been concluded. Prosecutors are investigating Alfaro for his alleged links to a criminal organization, which officials say answered to Castillo. The former president is currently being held in awaiting trial for rebellion, criminal organization, collusion, and influence peddling. He was arrested in December after he tried to dissolve parliament and rule by decree in a bid to avoid impeachment. His removal after just 16 months in office sparked mass protests that have left at least 54 people dead and hundreds injured in clashes with the security forces. Alfaro's sacking comes a day after prosecutors searched his home.
More than 500,000 children were shut out of lessons Tuesday as school workers in Los Angeles began a 3-day walkout over pay. Bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and special education assistants are among those on strike. They are striking against the Los Angeles Unified School District over what they say are poverty wages. The school district is the second biggest in the United States. The union says the roughly 30,000 members of the powerful United Teachers Los Angeles Union will not cross the picket line. Service Employees International Union Local 99 says many of its members earn as little as $25,000 per year. Los Angeles is one of America's most pricey places to live, with high taxes and expensive grocery and utility bills. According to property website Zillow, median rent in the city is $3,000 per month. School officials say they have offered a 23% increase. It comes with a 3% cash-in-hand bonus. The union, however, demands a 30% pay raise with an additional boost for the lowest paid workers.
Centers for Disease Control, or CDC researchers, have reported the alarming spread of a potentially deadly fungus in the United States. The CDC says that the Candida auris has spread through U.S. health facilities that appear resistant to drugs. It was first discovered in Asia in 2009, with the first stateside case reported in 2016. U.S. cases rocketed 95% between 2020 and 2021, while the fungus has been detected in over half the states. The World Health Organization last year ranked Candida auris as among the worst fungal threats facing public health today. New York epidemiologist Dr. Walid Javaid says that although the fungus is worrisome, he reminds that people are not going to die.
Sri Lankans react after the International Monetary Fund's approval of a $3 billion bailout for the country. The bailout raises hopes of easing the island nation's dire economic crisis. The announcement clears the way for the release of funds. It also kicks off a 4-year program designed to shore up the Sri Lankan economy. Here are reactions from Sri Lankans, some of whom are confused, while others are hopeful.
And our culture does not provide people to take loans to settle another loan, right? And why, I just can't understand why this pomp and pageantry for taking loans from IMF. I personally believe taking loan from IMF is another rigmarole. We are innocent people in Asian country. We don't want to get entangled with anybody.
But we know that we have taken loan previously, but any of those loans did not use effectively to the betterment of the country. But in this scenario, it's quite different because that government has imposed extreme tax on people to meet the IMF requirements to be qualified to get this loan.
So we look forward to the 17th program. One hopes that this is going to be our last, that we have had an addiction with the IMF. And every few years we seem to go back to the fund because we don't seem to be able to put our house in order. But one is hopeful that because the crash was so steep this time, that there will be an awakening and there will be permanent changes to the governance and the political system so that this kind of event will not happen again.
The head of the UN-backed Commission on Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia says the signing of a breakthrough peace deal in November 2022 is an important step. The peace deal ends a brutal conflict in northern Ethiopia. Mohammed Chandra often says, however, that the need to investigate alleged violations both before and since the peace agreement remains as important as ever. This will create a durable peace with full respect for human rights.
An Israeli court extends a months-long house arrest of a Palestinian journalist from annexed East Jerusalem. The journalist stands accused of incitement over her Facebook posts. Lama Goshieh, a freelance reporter for various Palestinian media outlets, was detained in September. She was placed under house arrest after 10 days in jail. According to the indictment, the 30-year-old has been accused of incitement to violence and identification with a terrorist group. The indictment mentions Facebook posts and messages as evidence. The charge sheet describes her work as a journalist and her thousands of online followers as giving her posts greater weight. Officials postponed the verdict until April 18. Goshieh will remain under house arrest.
Coming right up, the Starlink blocks internet connection for Ukrainian forces in Russian regions. Blinks are excited about Blackpink's Philippine Arena concert. And actor Keanu Reeves honors late Lance Reddick at John Wick Chapter 4 premiere. Catch more news when Mata ng Agila International returns.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders, Quezon City Motor Vehicle Inspection Center.
Susunod sa Counterpoint, alamin ang mga proyektong sinusulong sa Clark mula kay Chairman Ed Pamintuan.
Palagay ko, andyan yung danger with or without these two superpowers surrogating to be, fighting for the interest of Asia. Sila yung nagbabanggaan eh. Sabi ko, huwag tayong magkipagbanggaan sa kanila.
Sa Counterpoint, tuwing Miyerkules alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net 25.
Pagkaibigan kami niyan, akala niya marami akong girlfriends, hindi naman totoo.
Special guest.
Isang magaling na aktres.
Please welcome Miss RC Munoz!
Hello. Sa strawberry.
Thank you. Wow.
Sarap po yan.
Bakit maasim-asim? Ano ba to?
Kalderetang strawberry, sir.
Economists say Starlink blocks net connection for Ukrainian devices in Russian-controlled territories. The block extends to areas over water and instances when the receiver moves more than 100 kilometers per hour. Starlink recently limits its service to Ukraine and provides internet for civilian purposes only. In February, CEO Elon Musk posted a tweet about the restriction to prevent escalation that may lead to World War III. Starlink provided its service to Ukraine days after the invasion, as most telecommunication networks have been destroyed.
Shareholders sue Meta board members for allegedly turning a blind eye to human trafficking. The tech giant faces charges of human trafficking, child sexual exploitation, and predatory conduct occurring on the online platform. Meanwhile, Meta spokesperson Andy Stone says the site prohibits those activities explicitly. He adds that the claims in the lawsuit mischaracterize their efforts to fight this type of scheme. The suit calls for Mark Zuckerberg, along with executives and board members, to institute reforms and pay damages. Sources say those behind the suit include the Employees Retirement System of the state of Rhode Island, the Kiwi Investment Management Wholesale Core Global Fund, and the Teamsters Pension Fund. Meta has been under increasing pressure from legislators since a whistleblower exposed company secrets in 2021. Ex-Facebook employee Franz Haugen released documents suggesting the firm put profits before safety.
Amazon has confirmed it is cutting more jobs. CEO Andy Jassy disclosed the latest job cuts in a message to employees. The retail giant said an additional 9,000 workers will be let go after firing 18,000 employees in January. Most of the affected positions are in the company's AWS cloud services, its PXT Solutions business, advertising operations, and Twitch online gaming platform. Companies such as Google, Microsoft, Twitter, and eBay also have cut thousands of jobs in recent months. U.S. technology firms have been hit hard by rising interest rates and a slowdown in online advertising amid increasing economic uncertainty.
Google launches its own AI chatbot dubbed Bard for users in the United States and Britain. Google CEO Sundar Pichai says the launch is the first step to knowing Bard's capabilities. Participants wishing to interact with it had to sign up on a waiting list online. Google Vice President C.C. Shao and Ellie Collins say they've learned a lot so far from the test. Improving Bard will be their next critical step. Google ran tests on Bard with 80,000 employees, making it ready for the public. Recently, China's Baidu launched their Ernie bot last March 16. Meanwhile, Microsoft-backed OpenAI launched its new model GPT-4 last March 14.
Football club PSV Eindhoven has banned a fan from its stadium for 40 years. The fan was found guilty of attacking Sevilla goalkeeper Marko Dimitrovic during a Europa League match. The 20-year-old man was given a 3-month prison sentence. He approached Dimitrovic near the end of the playoff second leg at the end of February and punched him in the face. The goalkeeper wrestled the man to the ground and stewards led him away. Dimitrovic was able to continue as Sevilla lost 2-0 on the night, but went through 3-2 on aggregate. The Spanish six-time Europa League champions will play Manchester United in the quarterfinals.
Marvel Studios head of VFX and post-production Victoria Alonso is stepping away. After 17 years of working at Marvel Studios, Alonso leaves the company for reasons that are not entirely clear. She started as Executive Vice President of Visual Effects and Post-Production before going on to become President of the department. The longtime producer played a key role in shaping the Marvel Cinematic Universe MCU in its infancy. 2012's Avengers marked the beginning of her work as an executive producer on all of the studio's features and series. Alonso's name will still be listed in the credits of Marvel Studios' upcoming projects like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, and Secret Invasion.
Korean pop fans dubbed Blinks are excited about Blackpink's awaited Philippine Arena concert. To tell us more, we bring you Mia Villa.
Only a few days to go for fans of Korean girl group Blackpink to watch Jennie, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rosé perform inside the world's largest indoor arena, the Philippine Arena. Before their Philippine concert, the girl group marked history when they officially became YouTube's first music artist with 85 million subscribers. Blackpink is the Asian act with the most viewed channel on YouTube and the second most viewed music artist in history, behind only Justin Bieber. The group may outshine Bieber after the release of Jisoo's solo project on March 31. Meanwhile, a photo of Rosé with Harry Styles at the British singer's concert in Seoul has gone viral. In her Instagram story, Rosé thanks Styles for visiting her country. Styles recently performed in concert at the Philippine Arena. Blackpink will perform for not one but 2 nights inside the 55,000-seater Philippine Arena this coming weekend, March 25 and 26. The event organizers will provide additional shuttle buses for Blinks on the days of the concert. Mia Villa for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Canadian actor Keanu Reeves and co-actors of John Wick honor Lance Reddick by wearing blue ribbons. The cast appears with royal blue ribbons at the premiere of John Wick Chapter 4. Sources say this is the favorite color of late actor Lance Reddick. The American actor died on March 17 of natural causes at the age 60. Reddick played the role of Continental Hotel concierge Sharon in the Lionsgate movie and police chief Cedric Daniels in The Wire. Last March 19, Stephanie Reddick posted a tweet using his account, sharing her appreciation for tributes that they received.
It's that time of the year when the U.S. Capitol is surrounded with beauty and charm. Cherry blossom trees are in their peak bloom this week. Elise Danielle takes us to where the attraction is. Take a look.
Every spring here in Washington, D.C., cherry blossom trees are a sight to behold. These trees are a reminder of the friendship between the people of the United States and of Japan. According to the National Park Service, this week marks the peak bloom of these beautiful trees. The average peak bloom date is around April 4. It is when 70% of the flowers of the cherry blossom trees are open. The blooming period can last up to 14 days. They say the best time to see them is from 4 to 7 days after peak bloom begins. The blossoms, however, can last for up to 2 weeks under favorable conditions. A few warmer days coming up will bring many more of these pretty, pretty flowers out. Surrounded with beauty here in the U.S. Capitol, I am Elise Danielle, reporting from Matandang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
And to help you go through this week, here's a quote from American business magnate Bill Gates. It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure.
Indeed, Nina, no, it's really a necessity in life to have failure because it helps you grow as a person.
So, in a certain perspective, it's win-win, right? Whatever experience you go through.
That's a good way of looking at things. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Ricky Matay.
And I am Nina Richie Flores. Please stay tuned for tonight's episode of Counterpoint with Attorney Salvador Panelo and Chairman of Clark Development Corporation, Eduardo Pamintuan. This is Matandang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.